Betsy, welcome back to my kitchen. So today, when I decided what to make, it's fall and I'm in the mood to eat, and so what I thought I would want on the day I decided this was a cranberry orange scone. So, little known fact, I had never had a scone until I was in my 40s and opened the bakery, and when I was deciding how to make the menu for the bakery and what we were going to sell, I kept hearing about scones, and I'd heard about them for years, but I thought they were fancy people, and I thought, well, I should probably give it a try. Okay, that was a mistake because they are fantastic. So, the cranberry orange scone recipe that I came up with is so good. It's, nice and crunchy on the outside, soft in the middle. When it is warm, it is fantastic in the morning, although pretty fantastic any time of the day. So we're gonna make cranberry orange scones. Okay, to do this, to start with, we gotta zest an orange. So, I just grabbed my little microplane, one of the greatest tools you need in a kitchen, and get some zest. Now my rule of thumb when I zest is 3 swipes and then I rotate. I think that gets you just about the right amount of zest without going too much into the flesh of the orange. Now, this recipe calls for a tablespoon of zest, so I'm going to have to zest pretty much 1 orange to get a tablespoon. The recipe also calls for orange juice. Now, you could juice this orange if you wanted to get the orange juice. I choose to use store-bought orange juice. I've never actually tried it with the real juice. It kind of scares me because it could change the recipe. And when I started with the recipe, I found it in a cookbook and it called for store-bought orange juice, so I never really changed it. But if you want to try juicing this orange, by all means, go ahead. And just make sure you get all the good zest off the back of that zester. Okay, that'll be about a tablespoon. Okay, to do the actual dough, we're going to need 2 cups of flour. Seven teaspoons of sugar, which is a weird way to say it. It's actually 2 tablespoons and 1 teaspoon. So as you can see, there's not a lot of sweetness in this. This is going to be more, most of my desserts are super sweet. Since this is more of a breakfast sweet, it's not as sweet. 7 teaspoons of sugar is not that much. Then we're going to add our 1 tablespoon of orange zest, and this is where you get all the flavor. So I kind of pack it in there. And as you can see, that's not real level, but I'm totally fine with that. Okay, I'm going to add 2 teaspoons of baking powder. Half a teaspoon of salt. And a 1/4 teaspoon of baking soda. To that, I'm going to add 1/3 of a cup of softened butter. That is 5 1/3 tablespoons. Now you can see on the package they give you little markings. It's probably the easiest way to do it. I've done this enough that I pretty much know what it looks like. But by all means, use the little marks on the wrapper. Then we're just going to get this mixed. All I'm looking for there is for that butter to get mixed in so there's no big chunks of butter. We're going to add more ingredients. I just want the biggest piece of butter in there to be about the size of a pea. So once I get that done, we're going to start adding some wet ingredients. I'm going to add a 1/4 cup of the orange juice, a 1/4 cup of heavy whipping cream. I read this article that talked about how people who love scones you're either one camp or the other. You either like scones with cream or scones with eggs. Mine has both, so you should all be happy. 1 egg.
Okay, we don't want to get that overmixed or it'll get kind of tough, but we got to make sure everything on the bottom gets mixed in. So you might have to scrape it down a couple times and just make sure all those dry ingredients get included. You can also, at this point, add in the cranberries. 3/4 cup of cranberry. And I find this to be the best part, so if you're a little generous with that, it's not going to hurt anything. And just get those mixed in. Okay, once we get that done, we're going to take it off. If there's still little dry ingredients in the bottom, We can kind of knead that in as we get this out of the bowl. We just don't want to over mix it. Okay, this is going to be a really sticky dough, but we're going to need to get our hands in it. The cutting board that I use the zest on is what I'm going to do it on, because I'm going to pick up any little pieces of zest that I didn't get in there to start with. So I'm just kind of working it around to pick up any last dry ingredients and make sure I get all the cranberries out. Why would I waste one of those? And once I do, I'm going to get it on the board, kind of make sure I get all that zest up. And I'm just literally making sure everything's incorporated and making a ball. Okay, once I have that all kind of together, now all I'm doing is getting it on the sheet. And the best way to do that, I take my baking sheet and put a piece of parchment down, take my dough, and I'm just going to make it into a round. I would say we're looking at about 8 to 10 inches for the round. Now, I'm going to pull this off so you can see it a little better. Once I have that made, just to make sure it doesn't stick, I'm going to flip it over because I'm going to cut it into pieces now. I'm going to bake it in the shape that I want it. Well, I chose in this one to do a round because I'm going to make triangle scones. I have also, when I make large quantities of these, I have doubled, tripled this recipe, put it in the sheet pan, and then bake them off as squares. I even do minis for my daughters, take your breakfast to school day. But for this, I'm going to make traditional triangles. So this round is probably, this particular one's probably about 8 inches. I'm going to cut it into 8 triangles. It's super sticky. That's what we want. And once I get that done, I'm just putting them on the pan, spacing them out. You can easily get all 8 on one pan. But we're not done. They're going to taste great right now, but now we're going to make them look great. So I have a little saucer here of milk. Doesn't matter what kind of milk. We drink skim milk, so that's what we use here. I'm just dipping my hands in there and I'm patting the top. This gives it a nice little sheen. Okay, once I've got all of those done, now you don't have to do the next part, but it sure makes them look beautiful. I'm going to sprinkle a little sugar on top. Okay, so once I've got them with the milk and the sugar on top, I'm just going to bake them in the oven, 350 degrees for 15 minutes. All you're looking for is they're going to start to get brown. You just want to make sure none of the dough looks shiny. You kind of want them a little doughy in the middle, not raw by any means, but look at 15 minutes and decide what you think. Yesterday I baked some off ahead of time. It was 15 minutes and then I added another 2 minutes because I wanted them just to be a little more brown. But go ahead and pop them in the oven. When they come out of the oven, they are fantastic. Give them a few minutes before you try to eat them though, because they're super hot. So this is the finished product. I don't know why I ever thought these were just for fancy people. These are for everyone. These are so good. I hope you give these a try. They are so chock full of cranberries and that undertone of orange. You will love these in the morning or any time of the day. I hope you give them a try. Enjoy.